Good morning, everyone. This is Ranger Rob, and welcome to the Ranger Rob Country Living channel. And today, I think I'm going to talk about some hydroponic problems, issues, or fails that have occurred. But, I mean, fixable, but definitely things that either I was aware of, thought I planned out better, or just didn't know. So we're going to start off with my NFT system, which is the nutrient film technique, which is right here. And two problems I've had. One is weather. Sorry, I just had a dog going to my feet here. With this extreme hot weather, anything like lettuce and things like that, it's just been too hot. So probably one of the fixes would be a shade cloth. The second problem I've had with NFT on the trellis system, and I knew about this problem. So on here, I've constantly been getting leaks coming out of the top, because even when I keep changing the angle, that's what these extra boards have been, is me adjusting the angle of the NFT. And it's not really the NFT that's a problem, it's the beans. One thing we knew from Hucho's is he grew beans, and we thought, well, his problem is the same thing. The roots got so big it was clogging up his flow in the NFT. So when we built ours, we did 3-foot spacing on this side for beans, and it still wasn't enough. I probably should have went with 4-inch pipe instead of 3-inch pipe. That might have helped, but we literally had to go into the beans, open them up, try to get their roots out, and cut the roots down and put it back in, and we don't know how that's going to affect the plant. So probably in the future, we'll probably do beans and things like a Dutch bucket system instead, because the roots are just too aggressive. And so a lot of lessons learned this year in the outdoor NFT system. And it's been frustrating. I think our biggest thing, not only, we knew about the beans, but the weather has just been crazy, and it's actually one of the reasons why we're looking at building another greenhouse with NFT inside, because I don't know what next summer will look like, but it just gets too hot out here. Maybe because we use black, maybe because we have a black weave underneath it, but it's just too warm for them. I'm pretty sure a shade cloth would have fixed the problem. The next issue I'm going to talk about is the Dutch bucket system in the tank. So I've watched a lot of Dutch bucket systems, and I swear none of them talked about how much water usage tomatoes would use when they got mature. So I am almost changing, or actually I'm not changing, literally refilling a 38-gallon tank almost every day to feed all these plants. They're so thirsty. I run the Dutch bucket 4 times in 24-hour period for about 15-20 minutes, and these plants will drink almost all that water, or nutrients I should say. So it's not a fail. It was just something that wasn't reported, and I'm reporting it now. If you're gonna have a Dutch bucket system and your plants start getting big, they're gonna drink a lot of water, and you are gonna be changing that tank a lot, or you need to do a much bigger tank, but you'll still be changing it. So I could double that, so I would change the water every other day. So just lesson learned. The third problem I've been having is with the towers. Now, way in the back is where the pump in the tank is, and this is typically the design I've seen of doing towers with NFT, with nutrients. The problem is over time with all the minerals and stuff in the nutrients, I've been having trouble getting enough water to the last two towers over time, where I've gotten to a point I've just got to take off any kind of filters or any kind of caps on them, because the minerals from the nutrients tend to start clogging them up. Now this just ran, and I had to walk through, and I did find a couple that needed to drain better. But overall, I mean, the system's been running pretty good. But my delivery system, I've seen the technique that I'm using, and I've seen other people use a plate on the top that has holes in it, that when the water just comes under the plate, spreads the water out and drops them into not only the top but the two sides, because of the way these are designed. So I'm not sure what I would change here, other than keep an eye out on your emitters. Could be a problem. So out of all the systems we use, the towers, the NFT, the Dutch bucket systems, and the floating rafts, the least problem hydroponic system I use would be the floating rafts. Floating rafts are very easy to use. Now, when your plants get bigger, for example, I had a whole lot of lettuce, and I have a lot on some of it. So if you start getting a lot of lettuce this big, it'll start drinking a lot of your water. And it really isn't that hard to keep these floating rafts full, but you'll tend to have to kind of guess how much water is missing and then add your nutrients to keep it balanced out. But when you got a lot of small plants like this, your water level doesn't change hardly at all. So it's just I have a dog that knows how to get through the side of this. Luckily she doesn't get in too much trouble. Anyway, floating rafts have been the easiest to maintain as far as I'm concerned. So the reality is, when you start watching some of these hydroponic shows, you'll see these guys go, how to change out your tank. And I'll tell you this, you're not going to be changing out your tank so much as you are refilling your tank. At least on my systems. The NFT here, when it's loaded with plants, maybe every 4 to 5 days, I've actually got to add to the tank, not change out the tank. And so I think that's kind of a myth of you got these guys that are always how to change your tanks and stuff like that. If they're not going through water, that means that their plants aren't drinking anything. And with the NFT, it's constantly moving water, which is a really good thing. And the more plants you got, the more water they use, and more the tank gets pretty much empty within a few days, and then you just refill them. So yeah, changing out a tank has been rare for me. Refilling tanks is something I do every day here. So today is Sunday for us, and you can hear in the background Sherry's going to start mowing our lawns. And interesting discussion we've been having is, you know, you can see everything we got here, from the greenhouse to all of our gardens, and we are really enjoying it, to a point that we're actually like to actually look at upscaling things to, for example, we've been looking at crop team and looking at maybe having a commercial greenhouse built, which is all fine and dandy, but we have a question here on the ranch is, can you actually put up a greenhouse like that that we can deliver and not have really customers come here, but be able to do flowers, do tomatoes, do starters and stuff like that, which would not be sold here on what we call Crooked River Ranch, but would be delivered out to or taken out to different places. Is that something that the ordinances here would allow us to do on our 5 acres? You know, so it's one thing to have a dream or do something, that you also want to be within the guidelines of the areas you live in. So, you know, you would say, a lot of people say, well, it's your 5 acres, you should be able to do what you want. Well, there's rules and ordinances you got to follow. And I don't like it that much as much as the next person. And there's certain things that I could do on this property. But I want to do it within the guidelines of the area I live in. So we're actually thinking and dreaming about a much larger greenhouse with all the environmental controls, which would cost us quite a bit of money. And we'd also have to bring in power to such a for example, if you know, we put a greenhouse over on the other side of the property, which would be ideal, how do I get I probably would need about 200 amps of power to be able to handle the pumps, to handle the cooling system, the fan system, you know, all the electronics it would take to run such a program. I mean, that to me seems easier than finding out whether or not we could build such a thing within the guidelines of the area we live in. So I guess this is kind of a launch of a possibly new dream, a new income for us. And of course, you know, when you're at our age, it's like we got to be as automated as possible, because right now a lot of things I do is manual, because these were all kind of experimental hydroponics, and we need to automate it with one is the best equipment, monitoring and troubleshooting software and systems and pumps that are long-term. I can't have silly little mistakes like I had with the beans. Yeah, so this year is what I would call training, learning, and touching. It's one thing to watch videos and see people do it. It's another thing to actually build the stuff and do it. And that's the big thing about this channel, is I really like to see people get into hydroponics. But you've got to learn for yourself. Just because you can see how I did mine or how somebody did theirs, you got to touch it and feel it and live the lifestyle and go through the hardships and the fails and the issues and problems to learn. And then before you go into a good professional system. And of course, it's one thing to grow things, is can you hustle about selling the products and stuff like that, going to Saturday markets and working with produce companies and things like that in your region. So this is thinking out loud. Doesn't mean it'll really happen, but Sherry and I have kind of a time goal of about 2.5 years to possibly have something like that up and running if we did it. So anyway, it's always nice to dream, always nice to have ideas. Love to hear your comments, especially if you're in Oregon, especially if you lived on Crooked River Ranch, of what you know about what you can do on your properties and what you can't. You know, and there's always that Karen out there that's going to make your life miserable if you don't follow the guidelines in the community that you live in. So, reality. And we don't really want to deal with that. So Anyway, folks, and I think food and creating food is something that it's going to be a business that will always be good because of all the problems. And hydroponics and greenhouses, to me, is the answer to that. So anyway, guys, I want to thank you very much for listening and watching and your ideas. And please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos. Push them out there. We really appreciate it. And we really appreciate the support, and we really appreciate all the new subscribers. So guys, have a great day, and thanks for watching. Bye now.
Our videos are made possible by RangerRob Poopy Bags, available at Amazon right now. Thank you very much for watching our video. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. Thanks.